There are lots of ways to make mealtime fun. One of the best that I've found is to have breakfast for dinner. Kids and adults just love it. Now at our house, that often meant biscuits and country sausage gravy, affectionately known as skits and gravy. Today, we're going to walk through how to make that gravy step by step from scratch. And it's not even hard. Are you ready? The kitchen is now open. Hi, I'm Deb, and this is my kitchen. You know, food plus fun equals family. And on this channel, you'll find recipes, cooking skills, and tips on how to make mealtime fun and build your family in the process. If you like these videos, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Today, I'm making breakfast for dinner. Come on in, let's cook up something good. For country sausage gravy, the ingredients I'm using are 1 pound of pork sausage, from which I'll be reserving 1/4 cup of the drippings, 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 3½ to 4 cups of milk. I'm using non-fat, but use whatever you like. 1 teaspoon of MSG flavor enhancer, and salt and pepper to taste. Country sausage gravy is traditionally served over homemade biscuits, but today we're focusing on the gravy, so I'm just going to quick bake up some of these frozen Pillsbury grands. The tools I'm using are a large skillet, and notice the tall sides, they're really important. So either a sauté pan like this or a cast iron would be fine. Now this one's a little bit large for a single batch, but it's the one I'm used to. A turning spatula, a large spoon, 2 1-cup liquid measuring cups, a medium bowl, 1 1/4 cup dry measuring cup, a silicone mixing spatula, a silicone whisk because I'm using a nonstick pan and I want to protect its surface, and a 1 teaspoon measuring spoon. We're ready to start cooking up our sausage. So I've got it in the pan already, and I am setting my heat for medium-high. Now, here's the reason that I like a good, stout, stiff spatula, because you can see I'm using it to chop up the meat. Now, if you've got one of those little flimsy ones, it just really doesn't do the job. So having something that's real firm like this really makes it much easier. Now, it's going to take a few minutes to cook this up, but the goal is to keep on chopping as it cooks and to completely brown it so there's no more pink remaining. So I'm going to work on this for a little bit, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. All right, we've been cooking the sausage for just about 6 minutes, and I was chopping it the whole time, so you can see how it's nice and crumbly. That's what you're looking for. So now I'm going to turn off my flame, and I'm going to do my best to separate the crumbles from the fat and drippings. So I like to kind of use the edge of my stove and prop up my pan, and I'm going to pull this meat up and let the fat drippings come down out of it. And if I press on it a little bit, I can have more of that liquid come out of it and run to the bottom of the pan. Now I can tell looking at it, it's very doubtful that we're going to have 1/4 cup, but we'll go ahead and pull that dripping out and see how much we got. We'll measure it. So I have a measuring cup here, and I'm going to use this large spoon to get down here and start, got to get the right angle, a little tricky. There we go. And I'm just going to pour it, spoon it off, pour it into this empty measuring cup. Oh yeah, that's only about 1/8 cup, so we're definitely going to need to add some fat to this. So I'm going to take a little minute, going to scoop this cooked sausage out of the pan. and put it in this bowl and set it to the side. And I'm going to add some fat, and then we're going to come back and start making our gravy. All right, you can see now we have 1/4 cup of fat. The way I made up for the shortage from my sausage fat was to add some bacon grease. Liquid gold. Never ever throw your bacon grease away. Every time I make bacon, add it, and then when I need some, I take it out and I just store it in the fridge forever. Learned that trick from my mom. It's so good. Now, if you don't have any bacon grease or you don't want to use that, feel free to use butter or margarine, a fat that has flavor to it, to bring it up to that 1/4 cup. They'll all taste excellent. So now I'm going to go ahead and put this in the pan, and note my fire is not on right now. This is just sitting on the stove without a flame. Now here's the trick to making this gravy. You start adding your flour just a little bit at a time. Don't dump it in all at once. And you stir it in with your spatula. And what you're doing is trying to get this all incorporated smoothly. The French call this a roux, when you mix flour with a melted fat. We don't use that term in America so much unless you're watching Iron Chef or something, but that's what they call it. Now, see, that's all mixed in, so I'm going to add some more and do the same thing. Don't rush it. You want to make sure that you get that totally mixed in before you add any more. Take your time. You can see now we've got kind of this paste of the fat and the flour all mixed together. Next step is to start adding the milk, and the same thing, do it gradually. So I have my first 1 cup measure, and I'm going to put, I don't know, maybe 1/3 cup or so, and I'm going to use my spatula to try to blend that in. I still haven't turned the heat back on. Again, this takes a little time, takes a little patience, but it's well worth it. And I think what I'm going to do at this point, as I add some more milk, I am going to switch over to my whisk here. So now that I've got this first cup of milk in here, I'm going to use the whisk and I'm going to turn on my heat. And it's on medium. And as we go along, I may turn that heat up a bit later. But for now, I'm going to focus on trying to keep this smooth. And I'm keeping my spatula nearby because sometimes if I've got some lumps in there, I might use the spatula to kind of smush them and break them up. But it's all about doing it gradually. So that was cup of milk number 1. Got to squish a few of these little lumps in here. And I'm going to get ready to add cup of milk number 2. I'm going to break away and work on this. Remember, I'm adding 3.5 to 4 cups of milk total. So let me work on that because it's going to take a few minutes. Remember, the secret is a little bit at a time, maybe 1/2 cup at a time as you go, and then keep stirring the whole time, keeping it smooth, using your spatula to mash up some of those lumps if you need to, and keeping that whisk moving. See you in a few minutes. All right, I have 3 cups of milk in here so far, and see the bubbling of the gravy? That is perfect, and you can see how beautifully smooth it is as well. And it's quite thick, so we're going to go ahead and add maybe another 1/2 cup. I'm going to hold back the rest. We may or may not need it. We'll see. Now, you can see as I'm stirring that the milk kind of sloshes around. That's why I'm saying the tall sides are important. I'm going to go ahead and add, yes, that's my flavor enhancer. Just making sure, 1 teaspoon. And then I'm going to add salt and pepper. This is to taste. So I just go ahead and sprinkle, and don't be shy. You can be pretty generous, but remember, you can always add more if you need it. You can't take it away if you put in too much. So I was pretty generous, and we'll taste test it in a bit. And then the pepper. And of course, when we serve this at the table, we have salt and pepper always on our table so individuals can season to their liking. So even if I don't get enough pepper in, again, they'll add more. Get that stirred in. Oh, that looks so good. It smells good too. And now we're going to add the sausage. And at this point, I think I'm going to abandon my whisk and go back to my spatula to get this mixed in. The reason I like to crumble the gravy up like this is that I can get it mixed in and it's all incorporated into the gravy, so that then when we go to put it over our biscuits, you get sausage, biscuit, and gravy in every bite. Oh, it's amazing. And I would say at this point, this gravy's done. Now, as it starts to cool, it will thicken up. If you find that yours is too thick, add a little more milk, heat it up, and stir it in. Gravy like this deserves homemade biscuits, and our favorite are from a recipe that's well over 100 years old. We'll feature that in a future video, but for today, I want to remind you, don't try to substitute canned biscuits. They have their place, but this ain't it. Remember, we used frozen biscuits and we just popped them in the oven and they baked while we made our gravy. And now we're ready to serve this up. A lot of people may just put their gravy directly on the biscuit, but in our family, we like to add a little bit of margarine first to the biscuit, and this just gives it an extra bit of umami and just makes it that much more delicious. Now I'm going to pour on our gravy. And when I'm serving this, I typically will serve some kind of fruit on the side. So maybe peeled and segmented oranges, grapes, and in the summertime, a medley of melons is really delicious with this. And then of course, for the adults, we have piping hot coffee, and for the kids, milk and OJ. And everybody's happy. Family is built at the dinner table with things like breakfast for dinner, which is good food and good fun. And if you feed them, they will come.